Back in follow-up segment tonight, another attack on my book, Killing Reagan, this time by former Secretary of State George Shultz. This is the 6th op-ed saying the book is inaccurate. That's rank propaganda. Killing Reagan depicts the frightening ordeal that President Reagan endured and overcame exactly the way it happened. To assert, as these coordinated articles do, that Ronald Reagan did not have a downward spiral in 1987 is simply preposterous. At that time, Reagan's new chief of staff, Howard Baker, ordered a top aide, James Cannon, to investigate the alleged chaos inside the White House. Iran-Contra was raging, and Baker had just replaced Donald Reagan, who resigned under pressure. Cannon's written report included assertions that President Reagan was sometimes disengaged, but Baker believed that was overstated by the critics. Baker even addressed the issue with the press. That's on the record. And why would he even order an investigation if issues were not in play? Come on. Martin Dugard and I accurately report the situation in Killing Reagan, as well as Baker's conclusion that the president was basically in command. Dugard and I then go on to chronicle how Mr. Reagan fought through the difficulties brought on by the attempted assassination to eventually triumph in foreign policy. It is an amazing story of courage. By the way, Ronald Reagan's struggles after he was shot are confirmed by scores of on-the-scene folks, such as one of his closest friends, Michael Deaver, his son, Ron, and a number of political reporters with years of experience. With all that on the record, the dissent is misguided, to say the least. So what is really going on here? First of all, the high-profile attacks on the book are coming from a close-knit group of people, all of whom know each other. It's coordinated. They object to any reportage that does not play into the deification of Ronald Reagan. In George Shultz's case, he doesn't even seem to understand what the book's all about, lamenting that we did not write about arms reduction, for example. It's obvious to anyone who even reads the book jacket that Killing Reagan is not a biography. It's a personal story of a brave man who overcame a devastating trauma to become one of our greatest presidents. You'd think that would please the Reagan zealots, but it doesn't, because we write about a real man, not somebody from Mount Olympus. Ronald Reagan once tried to join the Communist Party, did things as an actor he was not proud of, had regrets. In short, he had flaws like we all do. How he overcame them is the heart of the book. The first wave of attacks on Killing Reagan were printed in the Washington Post, whose publisher has a relationship with the hatchet men who wrote the articles, and who was actually a fundraiser for an arm of the Reagan Library. Of course, none of that was disclosed by the Washington Post, and when Martin Dugard and I asked for op-ed space to reply, the Post, to its shame, said no. The latest slam appears in the New York Times, which, up until this point, has totally ignored Killing Reagan, even though it is a massive bestseller that dominates its own bestseller list. That's not unusual, as the Times usually deep sixes authors it does not agree with ideologically. Earlier this year, it denied Ted Cruz his rightful place on the bestseller list, and the paper is presently ignoring the sales of David Limbaugh's new book. It's beyond question that the liberal press and the literary establishment both despise the fact that the Killing series is now dominating the history industry. And while each of my books has been attacked, the good news is millions of readers find them worthy because they tell compelling stories backed up by facts. We don't spin history, nor do we whitewash it, and the folks know it. Ronald Reagan was a great man. Martin Dugard and I have honored him by writing the truth, which vividly illuminates his nobility. Any objective person reading Killing Reagan could not fail to come to that conclusion. By the way, the Cannon report that so upsets the hit crew has vanished, disappeared. How convenient.